Good evening, everyone. The Zoning Board of Adjustment meeting of August 28, 2024 is now in session. Everyone, please stand for a salute to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Notice of the meeting has been satisfied in accordance with Chapter 231 PL 1975 by advertising in the Home News Tribune, notifying the Sentinel Publishing Company, the Star Ledger, and also posting on the bulletin board and filing with the Borough Clerk. Roll call.
Mr. Green.
Here.
Mr. Kaczynski.
Here.
Mr. Esposito.
Here.
Mr. Emma.
Here.
Mr. Fella.
Here.
Mr. Condon. Here.
The first case for tonight is 2404 C&W Infinity of 980 Highway 9. Mr. Page?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, board members. With regard to the applicant, C&W Infinity LLC, at this time, since we do not have a full board, we would request that the matter be carried and continued to next month's meeting. And we certainly would consent to an extension for the board for time to act on the application as such.
You want to do it through the end of October?
That's fine. Yeah, absolutely. Your motion.
You can do a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we carry this application over for one more month.
Second.
Roll call?
Mr. Green.
Yes.
Mr. Kaczynski.
Yes.
Mr. Esposito.
Yes.
Mr. Emma.
Yes.
Mr. Fella.
Yes.
Mr. Condon. Yes.
Just so I can announce it, what's the date of the 25th?
25th.
So September 25th, 2024, this matter will be heard here, 7:30 PM. No further notice is required.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Our next application is 2406 Archer Capital LLC, River Road. Mr. Page?
If I can just swear in the professionals.
Good evening again, Mr. Chairman, board members. My name is Michael Page, and I'm the attorney for the applicant Archer Capital LLC.
Michael, if I can just swear in the professionals.
Yes,
Okay, please raise your right hand. Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yeah.
Okay, professionals are sworn. Go ahead.
board members, this is an application for bulk variance and major site plan approval to allow the applicant to construct a single-family residence on the property, together with waivers and variances for site plan requirements, lot area, lot width, a small side setback, and building coverage for the property located or known as vacant land, block 169.25, lot 1 on River Road. For this application, I'll be calling 2 witnesses initially to testify. They are Mr. Alex Patel, who's a representative of the applicant, and Mr. Craig Rahenkamp, who's a professional planner. And first, I would like to call Mr. Alex Patel.
If you could raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Sworn.
Mr. Patel, you're the representative of the applicant Archer Capital LLC,
Yes.
and the applicant Archer Capital LLC owns the subject property?
Yes.
Mr. Page? 1 second, we're gonna get you.
Thank you.
Sure. First name is Alex, Alex. Last name is Patel, P is in Paul, Atel.
Mr. Patel, if you would, please tell the board in your own words what it is that you're requesting from the board.
Sure. So before we delve right into that, I want to introduce myself to the board. First and foremost, thank you to Chairman Green, other board members that are here today. I understand it is a long weekend. It is the last weekend of a traditional summer, so I do appreciate everyone that was able to come out tonight. And before we dive into what exactly the application is, a little bit about myself. So I'm proposing a single-family home on this property for myself. This is for me to live there. It's the traditional American home, 3 bedrooms. It's 1,200 square feet, relatively small, 2.5 stories, and a garage. My family story with Middlesex County in this area dates back to 1968, when my grandfather immigrated here originally, and he lived at London Terrace in Parlin, New Jersey. So that's how far back my family's history dates. And now when I had to seek a township where I would start my family, build a home, live there, the opportunity for Sayreville came up, and it's reminiscent of our roots to America. So I said, yes, this is the place where I would like to settle down. And so ultimately, I was fortunate enough to get this property. And then we started the design development of the single-family home. And I'm sure many of the board members recall, we submitted the original plans about 3-4 months ago, and we received some feedback. And rather than come here and have to go through the hearing process to obtain that feedback, we understood that it was good and economical in terms of expending town resources to process that, go back to the design team and adjust accordingly so that when we do come here, we can put forth our best foot as well as the best footprint for this site. And so originally, we had side yard variances, we had lot coverage variances that neared close to 30%. We heard from the board that they wished for us to eliminate the side yard variances, which we did by restructuring the whole design of the home, if you compare it to the original plans. And then came time to reduce as much as we can the lot coverage for single-family home. We were, like I said, close to 30%. We were able to reduce it down to 25%, which still requires the board's blessing for 5%. The reason for that is principally because of the garage. Certainly, I'm sure that the borough of Sayreville wouldn't appreciate us just parking on the side street. If we can design the home such a way where my family and I can occupy a garage, then that would be helpful. Now, when looking at placing a garage on the property, traditionally, in Sayreville and in this neighborhood exactly, garages were placed in the rear. Why? Because the code says you can have 45% of building and accessory coverage. And we're at 40%. So we took that 5% and we applied it to the lot coverage, which went from 20 to 25% because of that garage. But that also gives it a modern look to what we're seeing in 2024. So that's the reason why we have that 5% lot coverage variance. So that's what we're seeking from the board, and that's a brief overview of exactly how I chose Sayreville and how we arrived to these plans that are now in front of you.
And the details of those floor plans for the proposed residence, those are detailed on the revised plans prepared by Tuvell Civil Engineering and Bilo Architects.
That is correct, yes. They're by Tuvell Civil Engineering and Bilo Architecture.
Thank you, Mr. Patel. I have no further questions for you.
Thank you. And if the board has any questions, happy to answer.
Anyone on the board have any questions?
Where exactly is the property under the road?
So it is in between a 91 River Road and 93 River Road.
What's your address gonna be?
Hopefully 90. Or we're gonna have to flip a coin between 91 and a half or 92 and a half, because we're right in the middle.
Any other questions from the board? Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Patel. Next, I would like to call Mr. Craig Rahenkamp, professional planner.
Ray, if you could raise your right hand.
Good evening, Mr. Fisher.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
You are sworn.
Thank you.
Mr. Rahenkamp, would you please state your occupation for the board?
Have 8 of these we'll hand out when you have the opportunity.
Handout.
Might as well do that while I qualify. I'll keep it short unless you drag it out of me. I've been in the field for 43 years, licensed in New Jersey for 29. License is currently valid, qualified in over 100 hearings and trials in the state, 4 other states, 3 federal districts. Spent 8 years as the vice president of our chapter, and I'll quit there.
We accept your credentials.
Thank you, sir. Last time I was here was for Cahovnanian slope variances on some of their lots. This is pre-COVID. But I was before this board once before. Thank you. Oh, yeah, I even had it here to remember to give to you. And then forgot to give it to you.
Mr. Rahenkamp, have you had an opportunity to review all the application materials submitted by the applicant?
I have.
And if you would, please provide to the board the details of the application as they pertain to the planning aspects.
So I apologize. I only had 8 handouts, so a couple will have to share. My printer crapped out and I didn't have time to get new ink. Yes, obviously the starting point here is an undersized lot. And the first thing I do as a planner is try and figure out why this undersized lot came into existence. Often it's because of a zoning change and it was subdivided when it was allowed. And but that's not the story here. So you'll see on the first sheet, which is a 1940 aerial from a website called
Probably
historicaerials.com.
mark this.
I'm sorry?
You should probably mark this. as
Yes,
A1.
absolutely.
Mark
A1 is
the
a
whole
packet
packet,
of
yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 sheets that include a collection of aerials and street view of the property.
Sorry to interrupt.
All set? Did I pick the right letter? A1? Okay.
One is good.
Okay. So referring to the first sheet of A1, this is an aerial from 1940. And you can see almost dead center is the intersection of Main going left and right, and River going up and down, north and south at that intersection. There's an old historic settlement, pre-war settlement that occurred at that corner. And you can see what is now the bar on the left-hand side, a single-family home, the narrower single-family home that we'll be talking about that's our neighbor, and then what looks like a small driveway, roadway that is the base of this lot, and then what appears to have been a business back in the day. Don't know that for sure. I wasn't here in 1940, but given the shape of the roof, that's typically not a house that you would see. The second sheet in A1 is simply your current GIS from the municipality. So you can see how the lots have been carved out of this area to the current day. 361 on the corner, the bar. 89 is a single-family home. River Road is that narrow single-family home. The one that just says River Road without a designation, that's the lot that's before you this evening. And then the 93 and 95 are newer lots, and you'll see where they came from. Page 3 is a Google Earth aerial with the timeline squiggled back to April of 1995. And what you see here is that pre-war corner village is still in place. The business or whatever it was is now gone. And you see the subdivision coming in from the left-hand side of larger single-family houses being constructed. The next one is December of 2002, same source. Now all of the homes have been built. So sometime between 1995 and 2002, the single-family homes, the newer single-family homes in this neighborhood got built. I can't tell you for sure that the 2 on River Road were built by the same builder. They have a different roof than the ones on the cul-de-sac, but they do match some of the homes over on, I forget the name of the street, over on Major Drive. So it may have been the same builder, but if not, it came at that same era. And then the last one is a Google Earth of today's date with everything in place, swimming pools and all. So you see the historic pattern coming from the intersection, the 3 homes that we've seen on all the aerials. the gap in the smile on our particular lot, and then the two modern homes between us and the far corner on Sayreville Boulevard. So that's the street as it exists, nothing on the opposite side directly from this lot that's currently vacant. I then included some street views. The next sheet is of 95 and 93 River Road, the two modern single-family houses. Two-story or 2.5-story structures of the modern variety. The half-story doesn't do anything in this particular era, but you see two-car garages in each of them with off-street parking. The next sheet is 91 River Road. This is the pre-war skinny house, if you will, that we're emulating in terms of house width and being comparable to. But pre-war, it didn't have a driveway. I'm sorry, it didn't have a garage. They're relying on a driveway in the front of the house. And the last one is 89 River Road. This is between the skinny house and the bar. This is an older home. It steps back. You see on the left-hand side a window with shutters. That sets back from the facade of the main house. So it's an L-shaped kind of house. And what you see here is the driveway going back to the rear garage that was more common in the older buildings. So what I hope to demonstrate by that series is that this lot wasn't created by the current landowner or any landowner in its cycle. It was the old roadway, whatever that informal way that we saw in the 1940 area, and then subdivisions happened around it, leaving this as an orphan. It got cut off from being a road. There's now a single-family home at the end of what this road would have been. So it's basically orphaned by events that happened around it, not something that somebody did to this particular lot. So that addresses the lot area, lot width variances. It exists. We need to put it to a reasonable use. And now the question is finding an appropriate scale of use to put on this individual lot. We have a 25% building coverage proposal where 20% is permitted. And I would suggest to you that we already have a relatively small home. It's a 1,200 square foot home, including a one-car garage. If you were to reduce that by a fifth, to go down to 20%, you're taking off roughly 250 square feet. You'd have a 950 square foot home. That's an extremely small single-family house as a modern home. I'm sure you can find some older homes of that size, but it's certainly not the size of a single-family home that people are building today. That's smaller than most of the townhouses that you would find on the market today. So I would suggest to you that what's being proposed to you in terms of house size is about as small as you'd want to go from a house perspective. And that we're able to comply with the side yard setbacks essentially means that what we're doing is making the house a little bit deeper to pick up enough square footage to have that home. I would also point out that the homeowner stole my thunder on this. In your code, you could do a driveway to an accessory garage in the rear that wouldn't count towards your building coverage. That would be an accessory structure. It would count towards your total impervious, but it doesn't count in your building coverage. We're basically taking that exterior building from a historic building pattern and moving it into the building. So it looks like the more modern houses to our right by having a garage and a driveway. And I would say to you on this street, I think that's particularly important. I don't live here. I've only been out there a couple of times, but every time I've been out there, that street is jammed with on-street parking because of the bar on the corner that doesn't have a parking lot. So I think it's appropriate for the homeowner to have the ability to park two cars in the garage and driveway that would be their own and not have to fight all the time with the bar patrons for parking along the street. So I think it serves an appropriate purpose for this house to be the size that it is, include the garage within the building, and have the driveway. And lastly, I would point out that the facade complies. With the side yard setbacks being moved to the point that they comply, the height, obviously, the front of that building is the same. If you were to hold us to 20% instead of 25%, the only thing that happens is the building gets shorter, something that nobody's going to perceive from the street. So whether or not you grant that variance or not is completely irrelevant to the streetscape, the way that the street lives. It's simply in how much of the rear yard is able to be used as part of the home to get up to 1,200 square feet of living space, which I think is an appropriate target. So for those reasons, I think the 25% variance for building coverage is appropriate, given the size of this lot and the ability to get to a decent-sized home and the issues that I just spoke to. Lastly, there's a small side yard variance. It's not along the entire side yard. That's been remedied, but there's a small bump out at the back end of a fireplace. It's a reasonable amenity to provide for a home. It doesn't have any kind of negative consequence to anyone. There's still enough room for people to get by, to get from the front yard to the rear yard. It's not an obstruction. So I think that's a reasonable variance for that very limited area of side yard interruption. And for those reasons, I would urge you to approve the variances.
Any questions from the board?
Sorry. What are the lot coverages on the other homes on that street?
I did not do that analysis, but let's see if we can figure it out from the aerial. Well, I don't have the math. It's not something I anticipated. But if you look at the aerials, the first home behind the bar, I'm looking at the Google Earth current aerial, is a very large home. It is a larger lot in terms of width. Yeah, I'm not going to guess at math just looking at the aerial, but I would suggest to you that this is going to be comparable. It's not going to be out of character with the overall pattern, but I'm not going to guess it at numbers standing here. I'd have to come back with that for you.
I do have a question. I don't know whether you're going to answer it or whether the owner is going to answer it. Can you tell me when the owner purchased this lot?
You've anticipated my answer. I don't know. We'll have to ask the owner.
This was about a year and I would say.
Come to the mic. If you're going to talk, come to the mic. I got it on your phone.
Sure thing. So it was about a little over a year and I would say 4 or 5 months ago when that lot was acquired. And then if I can answer the chairwoman's question as well regarding the size of the homes.
Go ahead.
Okay, so the adjacent lots, one is 50 by 100, which is larger than ours, and the other one is 75 by 100, which is still larger than ours. So perhaps from an aerial view, it would appear that the homes are of a smaller footprint in that lot because of the size of the lot. But our lot is 45 by 100, where we're proposing a 1,200 square foot total between all the stories home.
You anticipated building a home of this size, knowing that you were buying a small lot.
I was anticipating a larger size actually when we submitted it, but we wanted to get the feedback from the town to see what is the borough willing to see. And so when we received that feedback, we adjusted it to a smaller size. So I was hoping for relief from the board with that regard, because again, simply when you look at it, it comes down to that garage as the key component. If we were to eliminate the garage and park on the street, then you wouldn't have that lot coverage. But again, the building coverage. But then at that point, you would be fighting, like Cray said, for parking because you wouldn't have any designated parking.
You purchased this about 16 months ago, correct?
Yeah, around that time frame.
Any other questions from the board?
It complies. Yes. The engineer can give you dimensions.
You know how big the yard's gonna be?
Well, he'll be up in a minute.
Oh, I thought you meant Alex.
No, the engineer, the real civil, the guy with the license will come up and answer that question.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rayenkamp. Yeah, if the board should have any questions, we also have Mr. Harry Tuvel, who's the professional engineer who drew the plans. So
Is there anyone from the board that wants to ask any questions of the engineer?
Yeah, let's get on the record runoff and things like that.
Please raise your right hand.
sure.
You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
You can just give your name,
Harry Tuvel, Tuvel.
just your background to qualify you.
I am a professional engineer and licensed in the state of New Jersey, as well as a professional planner, but I'm not in that capacity this evening.
For how long have you been a professional engineer in New Jersey?
For over 40 years. I have bachelor's and master's degrees from the New Jersey Institute of Technology and have been practicing as a site engineer for over 40 years.
And you're licensed in the state of New Jersey?
Yes. I just recently renewed it, as a matter of fact.
All right, we accept your credentials.
Thank you.
I have a question, unless you're going to testify first. Did you do a runoff calculation for water, rain, that type of thing?
That has not been done as of yet, no.
Okay. You anticipate any issues with that?
It's a small lot. I think that a seepage pit would, one seepage pit for the roof runoff would suffice. One or two perhaps would suffice for, usually for a 50 by 100-foot lot.
So it's not sloped towards the street? Is that the issue?
We do not, the topo on the street is, as you can see, we have a elevation of 17 in the rear, and the topography in the up front is around, it's around a 3-foot drop. It's a mild slope running from front to back. It's mildly sloped towards the rear.
So that's why you need the seepage pit.
Yeah, that would probably be located in the rear.
That'll be put on the plans later.
Yes, and we would provide a drainage calculation as well for the board engineer's review.
Mr. Chairman, typically for a bulk variance application, that's dealt with at the time of building permit. So there would be a plot plan submitted to the zoning officer that would show proposed grading that would be approved before the building permits are issued.
Who asked the question about the backyard? Asked the question.
How much space will be in the backyard versus?
Well, as shown the plan from the rear deck, there's at one corner, because this lot is a parallelogram, the house is not exactly perpendicular to the street. It's sort of at a little bit of an angle. So at one point, there's from the rear deck, there will be 20 feet, and on the other side, there'll be 25 feet. The rear yard total is 30 feet.
Any other questions? Any questions from the professionals in reference?
What about trees or shrubs?
There's an existing maple shown in the front that will remain. And certainly the usual type of residential, shrubs will be put there. We could show that on a future
Something that we do
plan.
for House J or not?
Typically for a bulk variance list like this, you do not, we could require street trees every 50 feet. And they've already got one that appears to meet that requirement.
That's fine by me. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions from the engineer? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Terrell.
Mr. Chairman, before the board deliberates, can we confirm all the variances and what they are after the changes made in the second submission? Mr. Rankamp would probably be the best.
Yeah, I mean, I can put the testimony on behalf of the board, and then
Yeah, that's
if anybody disagrees, we can have it out now. So we have an undersized lot, 7,500 square feet required in the R7 zone, where there's a 4,993 square foot property that we're dealing with here. We have also insufficient lot width, 75 feet of lot width required, where the property has 50 feet of width. There's a side yard setback variance related to the chimney that's on the south side of the dwelling that encroaches into the side yard setback by 2 feet. So in that instance, 10 feet is being proposed on that side with 8 feet on the opposite side. So the combined side yard setback is 18, where 20 is required. And that's just for the chimney, not for the remainder of the property. And then we have exceeding the maximum lot coverage by building, building coverage. 20% is permitted where 25% is proposed.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Page, you concur with that?
I do.
Board have any other questions? All right, at this time, Mr. Page, I'm going to open it to the public.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Boardman. We have no further witnesses at this time.
Okay. Going to open this to the public. Does anyone wish to speak from the public in regards to this application on River Road? Hearing no one from the public, I'm going to close the public portion. Public portion is closed. Mr. Page?
Mr. Chairman, board members, I wish to thank you for your consideration of this application. And rather than taking up the board's precious time with a summary of the already detailed testimony, I would just say that we respectfully submit the application for the board's consideration at this time. Thank you.
What is the board's pleasure in regards to this application?
Mr. Chairman, I move to accept this application.
Approve.
Second the motion.
I have a motion to accept this application, and I have a second. Roll call vote. Yes.
Mr. Kaczynski.
Yes.
Mr. Esposito.
Yes.
Mr. Kenneth.
Yes.
Mr. Bella.
Yes.
Mr. Donovan.
And Mr. Page, the application has been approved. We will have a resolution and moralization next month. So you're all set to go.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you all.
And we'll see you next month on the other application.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Just if I can close off. So Chairman Green, other board members, thank you so much again for coming out tonight. I know, like I said, it's a long weekend, so I appreciate that. Enjoy the Labor Day weekend, and I'm looking forward to being part of the Sayreville family. So thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you.
I'm going to open the meeting to public comments on any issues not relating to pending or present applications. Is there anyone from the public who wishes to speak? Hearing none, I close the public portion in reference issues not pertaining to this. We have one resolution tonight. Resolution moralization at 9 Joanne Court, application 2408. Has the board had the opportunity to review the moralization and resolution concerning this application with defense?
Yes.
Hearing that everyone from the board has reviewed this, what is the pleasure of the board concerning this resolution?
To approve the resolution.
I have a motion and a second to approve this resolution at 9 Joanne Court. Roll call.
Mr. Green.
Yes.
Mr. Kaczynski.
Yes.
Mr. Esposito.
Yes.
Mr. Kenneth.
Yes.
Mr. Bella.
Yes.
Mr. Donovan.
Okay, the next on the docket is, has everyone had the opportunity to review the minutes of July 24th, 2024 meeting?
Yes.
Being that the board had the opportunity to review the minutes of the last meeting, what is the pleasure of the board concerning this?
Move that the minutes be approved.
I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of the July 24th, 2024 meeting. Roll call.
Mr. Green.
Yes.
Mr.
Yes.
Mr. Esposito.
Yes.
Mr. Emma.
Yes.
Mr. Bella.
Yes.
Ms. Casano.
Is there anything else that the board wants to bring out? Hearing nothing, make a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Meeting's adjourned.